pressed my ear to the wall. It was warm. The vibration matched pulse until I couldn't tell which beat belonged to me. When morning came, Rumi rubbed her eyes and smiled like nothing had happened. I asked if she remembered being awake. She said,
"This fall, heel pain and sore arches won't stop you. Hand-stitched leather boots deliver lasting comfort. Arch support eases pain, keeps autumn walks comfortable and strong. Waterproof shoes built to last. Handle wet leaves, tailgates, rainy hikes, aging into rich patina. Ankle guard locks in stability, protecting against sprains when trails get slick. Grip tracks soles keep steps steady on tailgates, pumpkin patches, sidewalks. Lowest price guaranteed."
Asked if she remembered being awake. She said, "It's Mommy's song." Then she giggled and skipped away. By the third week, the humming was constant. Sometimes it came from the vents, other times from beneath the floors, a tune that hid beneath the sound of running water or clinking dishes. I started humming it without realizing, then caught myself mid-note and froze. The melody had no rhythm, no key, just motion, like water over stones. When I stopped, the air seemed to pause, listening. That's when I noticed Beyoncé changing. She'd glide through rooms instead of walking, her robe whispering against marble. Her voice carried an echo, even when she spoke softly. One afternoon, she stopped by the nursery. The twins leapt into her arms, and the room brightened in a way that made me feel suddenly dull, invisible. She kissed their foreheads, whispering words that sounded ancient, syllables that rolled and clicked like prayer, but didn't belong to any language I knew. I tried to smile, but my stomach turned. The lights flickered. She looked up and caught my reflection in the window before I could look away. For a heartbeat, her eyes shimmered gold. Later, when I asked the assistant about it, she said, "It's part of her centering work. Don't interrupt her when she channels." She used that word, channels, like it was normal. Sleep offered no relief. I dreamed of golden threads crawling across my skin, binding my wrists, slipping between my lips until they stitched my breath shut. I'd wake tangled in sheets, gagging on air that tasted metallic. Each morning, there'd be that same faint shimmer of gold powder on the pillowcase. I threw it out. The next night, it reappeared. Sometimes, while washing dishes, I'd see flashes in the steel sink, my own reflection with different eyes staring back. Once, I swear I saw her reflection, though she wasn't behind me. The only other person who seemed aware something was wrong was him, Jay-Z. He drifted like a ghost now, slower every day. I'd pass him in the hall and smell incense and wine. Once I found him sitting alone in the den, mumbling words that sounded like lyrics, but heavier. "She's always watching," he said suddenly, eyes still on the blank television. "Who is?" I asked. He blinked, confused. Did I say something? The TV screen caught a flash of movement behind me. For an instant, it was her face, smiling, but when I turned, the doorway was empty. Weeks passed. My reflection grew pale. I lost weight I couldn't afford to lose. Food tasted of dust. The twins began drawing again, pages scattered across the playroom like evidence. They'd drawn their mother without a face, surrounded by black hands with gold eyes. Strings stretched from her body to theirs like puppet wires. At the bottom of one drawing, in jagged letters, "When Mommy sings, the light hides." I hid that page in my pocket, meaning to throw it away. I still don't know why I kept it. It happened the following night. I was heading to the kitchen. I told myself I'd stay upstairs that night. No more wandering, no more listening through doors. But curiosity in that house didn't feel like mine anymore. It felt invited. The hum beneath the floors had gone quiet for 2 nights in a row, and the silence gnawed at me worse than the sound ever did. Around 2 a.m., the stillness woke me. Not a noise, the lack of it. The twins were sleeping for once, their breathing even. Yet something in my chest tugged me toward the hallway, the way tide pulls a loose boat. I fought it for a moment, gripping the doorknob until my palm sweated. Then my hand moved on its own. The air changed as soon as I stepped out. The temperature dropped, The scent of honey thickened, and the lights along the stairwell flickered once, then held steady in a dull amber glow. The basement door, usually locked, guarded forbidden, stood open just enough for the hinge to whisper. I don't remember deciding to walk down. 1 second I was on the landing. The next, my bare feet touched cold concrete. The deeper I went, the more the air felt charged, as if the house had swallowed a thunderstorm and was holding it in its lungs. At the bottom of the steps, the studio looked nothing like a recording room. The equipment was gone. Every surface shimmered with thin sheets of gold leaf, pressed into looping cymbals, some circular, some jagged, all moving slightly as though breathing. Black candles ringed the floor. Their flames leaned inward, defying gravity, feeding on a draft I couldn't feel. In the center hovered Beyoncé. She wasn't floating gracefully. Her body jerked in small spasms, arms out, head thrown back, toes just clearing the floor. A basin beside her glowed from within, liquid red, luminous, swirling on its own. The smell was metallic and sweet, like hot sugar and blood that never dried. From the walls came whispering, multiple voices overlapping in patterns I almost recognized. Half French, half something else, the vowels long and fluid. I would later learn they were fragments of Yoruba prayers, but that night they sounded like the sea speaking through human throats. My first instinct was to call for help, but the air pressed against me thick as water. I couldn't open my mouth. I watched instead. Her body arched backward. Gold dust lifted from her skin and hung suspended. Beneath her on the concrete, a sigil drawn in ash and honey pulsed faintly, each beat matching the rhythm of the candles. And there, near the basin, lay a small sculpture of a woman carved from wax. Wide hips, flowing hair, face worn smooth. It glowed from inside like a coal and began to melt, gold dripping into the basin, until the red turned orange. Then Beyoncé's eyes snapped open. They weren't white. They were the color of sunrise behind fog, brilliant, blinding. Her mouth opened, and two voices came out. The first was hers, rich, controlled, musical. The second crawled beneath it, deeper, patient, old enough to have forgotten language. Together they said, "You were warned not to look. Now you carry what you've seen." Something bright leapt from her forehead, thin as thread, molten as wire, and struck me between the eyes. It burned without heat, carving light straight into my skull. The last thing I saw was her smile folding inward, like a curtain being drawn. When I woke, daylight poured through my window. Birds chirped.
Domino's specialty pizzas are Domino's best pizzas, and we love that for them.
As I grew up, I didn't want to be in the same situation as my parents, where I have to ask my children to financially help me.
Meet Leela. Her story is so worthy of being heard that we made it into a book.
Years ago, young Leela grew up seeing her parents stomping out financial fires. Foreclosure letters, debt, stomp, stomp, stomp. She vowed to never follow in their footsteps. So she forged her own path with Credit Karma by her side. Through insights and recommendations, she learned to embrace credit and not fear it. It helped her open doors, like the door to her very first house. Then she bought a second home that she's turning into an inn, with dreams of the passive income that will come again and again. Now, she wants to help open doors of opportunity for others. Whether through real estate, law school, or psychology, she just wants to help. But Leela's story is far from over. She sees her ultimate goal, and it's still full of fire. That's to achieve financial independence and retire early.
Start your story with Intuit Credit Karma.
For a moment, I convinced myself I dreamed it, until I sat up and the skin between my brows throbbed like a healing cut. In the mirror, I found a faint mark shaped like an elongated teardrop, golden at its edges. Downstairs, the household moved as if nothing had happened. The chef prepared breakfast. The assistant typed silently at her tablet. Beyoncé, dressed in white linen, greeted me with a smile too soft to be real. "You've been working too hard," she said. "Maybe take some rest today." Her voice carried no echo now, no double layer, just calm. When she turned to pour tea, the sunlight caught her hair, and for an instant, I saw threads of gold writhing inside the strands like tiny veins. The twins didn't look at me. When I reached for Rumi's plate, she pulled it back wordlessly. Sir hid behind his chair. The assistant noticed my confusion, but said only, "They're sensitive to energy. Don't worry, they'll warm up again." I tried to rebuild. I told myself it was just stress, trauma, burnout from a dream job turned nightmare. So I applied for other nanny jobs, smaller families, normal homes. The first client said her child cried the moment I stepped in. The second never let me finish the trial day. The third left a voicemail saying, "I don't know what energy you brought into our home, but we need space. Please don't come back." It wasn't long before agencies stopped returning calls. I checked my own resume online. Gone. Entire listings wiped. A website I'd built myself showed nothing but a blank white screen. I moved cities, changed my number, bought a cheap burner phone. Still, nothing worked. The humming followed me. Not every day. But on the bad nights, it would crawl through the floorboards. Radiator pipes would shudder in rhythm. Light bulbs would blink once, twice, then hold their breath. And always, just as I was about to fall asleep, I'd hear a quiet click, like someone opening a door down the hall. Only I lived alone. It was almost a year later that I found the first message. I'd been doom scrolling one night, blurry-eyed, when a post on an old nanny forum caught my attention. It was up for maybe 60 seconds before it vanished. I worked with her too. It doesn't leave you, she marks you. I screenshotted it. My hands shook so badly I nearly dropped the phone. When I clicked on the user's profile, the page was already gone. Deleted, scrubbed, but after that, more things started to appear. Not publicly. Quiet things. An email from a burner address with no subject line. Just a sentence. Don't say her name. Just describe the eyes. Then another. I was the chef. We all felt it. The gold never washes off. And then the one that made me sit frozen for an hour. There are more of us. She doesn't need to kill you. She just makes sure no one listens. That's when I knew. It wasn't just me. It never was. Some of the stories sounded like mine. Others, worse. One woman said she woke up one night unable to move, paralyzed as something, stood over her and whispered lyrics in a voice she hadn't heard in years. A man said he used to work security on their estate. Left after one night, he saw Beyonce walk into a mirror and not come back out. He said he never told anyone, not even his own mother, until now. Some of them disappeared after sending their message. Email addresses deactivated, posts deleted. One guy's entire blog vanished. Domain, cache, everything. As if it had never existed. It's like, we're not people anymore. We're leftovers, broken tools, souls that got too close to something divine and walked away scorched. And if she's what I think she is now, there's nothing divine about it. She doesn't perform, she channels. And when you see the real her, even for a second, she knows. She watches. I tried to record this story before, twice. The footage glitched. Twice. The footage glitched. The audio reversed. My own face lagged on playback, smiling seconds before my mouth moved. I thought it was the camera. Then I tried my phone. The same thing. Tonight, I'm trying again. If you're hearing this, if this upload stayed online long enough for you to see it, that means they haven't found me yet. I need to know I'm not alone. If any of this sounds familiar, if you've worked for them or felt something wasn't right, leave a comment. Don't use names, just say, "I've seen her eyes." Like the video so more of us can find each other. Subscribe if you want the rest of the story. I'll keep posting as long as I can. And if I disappear, you already know why.
My first German gift was the cable bracelet. I remember seeing the cable collection and falling in love with it. So I bought it and then bought it for my mother. So now we share the same token and it's become an heirloom in my family.
Don't compromise quality insurance for savings or your time for this ad. Hit that skip button, or don't, and watch me skip.
The following account is classified, delivered under federal protection. Its secrets are still unraveling. For decades, hip-hop's power balanced on a deadly triangle: Jay-Z, Diddy, and 50 Cent. Money built their empires. Loyalty chained them together. Betrayal tore them apart. When the cracks spread, one throne burned, another rose, and a third learned the price of truth in a world built on shadows. I was there, hidden behind velvet ropes and soundproof walls, an informant watching the untouchable. I saw loyalty turn to leverage, secrets become weapons, and
Yeah, chat. It's been a fucking long day, man. What's up, Amy?
Didn't matter anymore. I'd spent years proving I belonged in a world that didn't always want me. Basic training was a gauntlet. Guys sizing you up, waiting for you to crack. You learn to carry more than your pack. Scrutiny, whispered bets.
They have no idea who they're dealing with.
For you to crack. You learn to carry more than your pack. Scrutiny, whispered bets, the pressure to fail. I didn't. I outran them, outshot them, kept my head down and my standards high. But civilian life didn't care about medals or calloused hands. It saw a woman with sharp eyes and a stiff spine and wondered why she couldn't just smile. My husband tried for a while. He'd ask why I checked the room before sitting down, why I woke up gripping the sheets like a rifle, why I couldn't just relax. He called it damage. I called it instinct. When he left for someone who laughed without edges, I didn't fight it. I sold my ring for gas money and drove north to New York, chasing a horizon that didn't ask for explanations. Queens wasn't glamorous. My apartment sat above a laundromat whose dryers never stopped. The sound helped, rattling like distant gunfire, steady enough to fool my nerves into sleep. Mornings, I ran until my lungs burned, dodging cracked sidewalks and curious stares. Then I applied for security work, private detail, club gigs, anything that paid. Most ignored me. Women like me don't fit neatly into civilian boxes. The first callback came from a Tribeca venue, last minute. The message was short. Wear black, show up early, no selfies, no chatter. I almost passed. Those gigs meant babysitting drunk influencers for cash under the table. But the manager's voice had a tone I hadn't heard since the military. Firm, direct. I missed that clarity. The night was damp, perfume and exhaust mixing in the air. The club's marble steps gleamed under streetlight glare. I stood at the door, checking wristbands, scanning faces, ignoring the wealth and fame brushing past me. Rappers, producers, executives, smiles too perfect, eyes too tired. My job was to keep the line moving, not to care who they were. Around midnight, a black Escalade cut through the traffic. The crowd shifted automatically. A man stepped out, tall, broad, moving with the calm of someone used to being obeyed. His eyes found mine. For a moment, it felt like inspection all over again. That split second before a commanding officer decides what you're worth. He waited until the flow thinned, then approached. "You move like you've been trained," he said, voice low and even. "Old habits," I answered. "Military?" "Yes." He tilted his head. "Still looking for orders?" "Looking for a paycheck." His smile was...
Oh my God, your car like sounds amazing. Yeah, yeah, it was down bad. I just got changed the filter, the air filter next. But that the one that was underneath was bad. It was old. It wasn't processed oil right. I could tell when I took it off. So put the other one on there pretty good. Oh, I just bought it. I just got back out.
Oil change 2014 Nissan Altima SL.
Welcome to Take 5 Oil Change.
Hey, how long will this take? I'm kind of in a rush.
Just 10 minutes.
Get out, 10 minutes.
Oh, it's an already exposed oil pan? I think my oil pan is already exposed. Cover of it. Yeah, mine is easy. It looks like mine got exposed.
Looking for a paycheck. His smile was small, guarded. A friend of mine needs someone like you. Someone who knows how to stay sharp and quiet. I didn't ask questions. In my world, you read intent before words. You nod. You listen. You hope the mission's clean. 2 nights later, I stood outside a midtown building with no signs, just mirrored glass and a keypad. I'd been told to look professional, but invisible. A man buzzed me in and led me through a sterile corridor that smelled of bleach and faint cigar smoke. At the end stood him, 50 Cent. Not the grinning celebrity from magazine covers, but a strategist leaning over a table littered with guest lists and blueprints. His voice was clipped, his focus surgical. "This her?" he asked the recruiter. The man nodded. 50 Cent extended a hand. Firm, testing. "Ex-military?" "Yes, sir." "You follow orders?" "Always." "Good. Then follow this one. Don't talk about anything you see. Not to friends, not to family. You work for me. You report only to me. Clear?" "Clear." He studied me, eyes narrowing as if searching for hesitation. Then he pointed at the table. "This isn't just crowd control. It's keeping secrets where they belong. You understand the difference?" I did. In combat, one wrong word could cost lives. Here, the wrong word could cost everything else. He laid out the assignment: vet guests, watch patterns, read behavior. No uniforms, no visible weapons, just eyes and instincts. He spoke like a commander, and I listened like a soldier. Before I left, he added, "If anyone asks who you work for, you're freelance. You don't know me outside." The city roared like an ocean. Every horn, every echo felt amplified. I told myself it was just another job. Structure, purpose, a new start. But somewhere beneath the hum of traffic, I felt that old shift in the air, the one before a firefight, when everyone smiles like they don't know what's coming. I needed the money. I needed direction. I told myself I could handle anything. I didn't know then that those parties weren't just celebrations. They were negotiations. I didn't know I was walking into a battlefield without borders. And I didn't know that silence, the thing I'd mastered best, would become the only weapon I had left.
I'm late.
Julie, the shower ended 30 minutes ago.
I know. I'm sorry, but
She's right. I'm with Nectar's legal team. According to Section 8A, it states that Nectar mattresses' unparalleled comfort may lead to excessive slumber.
Ted.
Charlie. Alex.
Ron.
Mark.
Michael!
All these things work good together.
Yeah!
Ooh.
All these things work good together. Give me that. That's right. All these things work good together.
Good together.
The invitation didn't have an address, just a time and the words "after hours." Private. 2 hours before midnight, a black SUV arrived at my curb. The driver never spoke, just nodded once and motioned me inside. We rode through Manhattan's glitter until the streets thinned, glass giving way to gated silence. The elevator opened directly into a penthouse that looked more like a museum than a home. Every surface gleamed, but nothing felt alive. The people did too. Beautiful, motionless, arranged. No one laughed. Music played, but it sounded rehearsed, like a loop meant to erase real conversation. Phones were surrendered at the door. Lenses were covered with black stickers. The guests called it privacy. I called it control. I stationed myself near the bar, pretending to monitor crowd flow. while memorizing fragments of dialogue. They spoke in codes that meant nothing until they started repeating. Super Bowl cuts look good, one man said, sipping champagne. Another replied, not for everyone. Depends who's still in the drive. Across the room, a woman whispered, Kim's book's out again. Same cover, different author. The man beside her winced like she'd used a slur. That was how they talked. Half sentences, half threats. Every phrase was currency. I typed notes on a hidden pad the size of a cigarette pack, relaying them to 50 Cent when the night ended. He never reacted, never confirmed what any of it meant. He only said, patterns tell the story. Words just fill the space. After the third event, I started to recognize the same faces circulating through different venues. A producer whose smile froze whenever Jay-Z's name was mentioned. A woman rumored to handle Diddy's logistics. A nervous assistant carrying 2 phones but using neither. The air between them buzzed with politeness and fear. I realized these weren't parties. They were negotiations disguised as luxury. Deals were signed with eye contact. Promises sealed with toasts that tasted like surrender. The horror wasn't blood or violence. It was watching people trade pieces of themselves for a seat at the table. One night, a man I'd seen before approached me near the hallway lined with mirrors. You with the logistics crew? He asked. Freelance, I said. He smirked. Aren't we all? When I reported it later, 50's voice on the phone was calm. Good work, he said. You're hearing the right ghosts. Then the line crackled, loud, sharp static that didn't belong on a secure channel. That's when the paranoia started. Each night when I returned to my apartment, the hum of the laundromat no longer comforted me. My phone would buzz once, then fill with faint hiss, like someone breathing too close to the mic. No caller ID. If I turned on the TV, the screen glitched to gray for a second before settling. I told myself it was burnout, coincidence, stress, but soldiers learn to trust patterns. The pattern was attention, and it was on me. At the 5th gathering, the host greeted me by name, even though I'd never met him. The champagne servers seemed to know where I stood before I moved. Someone had marked me in their system. Still, I kept logging. At one table, 2 men discussed the drive, said it like it was sacred. Once it's released, no one walks away clean. Another whispered, he won't let that happen. Not again. Their smiles never reached their eyes. They looked like people attending their own trial. That night, as guests filed out, a video screen flickered behind the DJ booth. For a second, an image appeared. Grainy footage, faces half lit, laughter out of sync with the music. Then it vanished, replaced by an abstract logo. The room went colder. When I sent the report, 50 didn't call back right away. Hours passed. Then, close to dawn, my phone vibrated. A text. You're doing good. Just don't look at the screens. I stared at it until the words blurred. I didn't know which screens he meant. The ones in those penthouses, or the ones I lived behind. Either way, the message was clear. Someone was watching both of us now. The city outside my window began to glow with early light. That dull gray that makes everything look the same. I sat on the floor, boots still on, and listened to the dryers downstairs spin. For the first time, the sound didn't soothe me. It sounded like a countdown. The message came just after midnight. Final check. Go alone. No location tag. Just an address buried in a thread from weeks ago. 50 Cent's tone was always clipped, cold, efficient. But tonight it felt different, colder, like punctuation before a goodbye. The building rose above Midtown like a sealed vault. No signage, no doorman, just black glass swallowing the city lights. Inside, the air smelled of cedar and bleach. A concierge guided me wordlessly to a private elevator. pressed the top button, stepped back as the doors closed. When they opened, darkness. One lamp burned near a wall of windows. Beyond it, the skyline blinked like static. Diddy stood alone beside a low table. No entourage, no music, just the faint hum of electronics. "You've been around long enough to tell real from rumor," he said. I answered, "Rumor usually pays better." He laughed once, a rasping sound. "People confuse power with freedom," he murmured. "They forget. It's rented, not owned." He gestured toward a projector already warming up, the fan spinning like breath. "Tonight isn't about gossip," he said. "It's about proof." A handful of his men entered quietly, arranging chairs. None spoke. When the reel started, the light cut through the haze like a blade. Familiar scenes, glittering rooms, champagne, famous silhouettes half hidden by smoke, but something felt wrong. Everyone rehearsed, like actors reading lines they didn't believe. Then, voices behind me. "If the reels surface, we're all ghosts." 50 already knows, someone hissed. He's waiting for somebody else to hit play. Their fear filled the room more than the music ever could. Faces flickered bright one second, ghostly the next. The hum deepened, words blurring into vibration. "Enough," Diddy said. Silence. He turned to me, eyes steady. "Stay." Everyone else left. The door clicked shut. The city's glow folded into quiet. Only the projector remained, trembling across the wall. Diddy scrolled through folders until one appeared. No title, only numbers. "I want you to see what loyalty looks like." The screen flickered. Candlelight's ghostly glow filled the room. Grainy footage, a hotel suite, opulent but sterile. Diddy, young, shirt half unbuttoned, grinning that mix of charm and menace that dares you to look away. Beside him, Beyoncé, her back to the camera but unmistakable. High cheekbones, diamond earrings blazing like stars. Her voice, low, deliberate, every word carrying the weight of a queen who'd conquered stages. But here, her poise felt like armor, not power. I stood by the bar, soldier's instincts sharp, cataloging every detail. The models and influencers around us, perfect smiles, hollow eyes, didn't see what I saw. Beyoncé's shoulders were set, her movements precise, like she knew every angle the camera could catch. A ring glinted on her hand, hair spilling like a curtain. The frame hid her eyes, leaving only fragments. A tight smile, a flicker of tension in her jaw. "Perform," Diddy said on the tape, voice soft but razor sharp. A command cloaked in velvet. Beyoncé stiffened. Her laugh came high and forced, cracking under the weight of expectation. This wasn't performance. This was compliance. The silence between them buzzed like a tripwire, ready to snap. I'd seen power plays before, men testing limits, daring others to flinch. But this was colder, crueler, not proof of talent, proof of control. My throat felt dry. "Why show me this? So you understand what truth costs?" He looked back at the screen. "Loyalty?" Back at the screen. "Loyalty is a leash. Sometimes it strangles the wrong one." He hit play again. The scene blurred, muffled words, a faint laugh, then static. The picture dissolved into gray snow. The projector light pulsed against his face, red from the standby signal, blinking like a heartbeat. I could feel my own sinking with it. Every instinct screamed to leave, but training kept me still. Finally, he switched everything off. Darkness swallowed the room. "You didn't see that," he said quietly. "But now you know why the reels can't surface. You'd be surprised how fast gods turn human when the lights hit them wrong." Before I could speak, my phone buzzed inside my jacket. The vibration rattled against my ribs. One message from an encrypted number. "Leave, now." Diddy didn't notice, or pretended not to. He poured 2 glasses of cognac, pushed one toward me. "To silence," he said. I didn't drink. I should report back. You already have. He smiled, small and weary, as if he pitied me. The thing about watching, soldier, eventually someone watches back.
2025 was just the beginning.
This is Captain McDonald. Today, Delta Airlines is connecting people to what matters and flying more sustainably. When sustainable aviation fuel from Shell is used instead of conventional jet fuel, it can help reduce life cycle emissions by up to 80%. Together, progress is starting to take off. Today and tomorrow, Shell is powering Delta and everybody forward.
I turned toward the elevator. My reflection followed me across the glass. Same uniform black suit, same composure, but the eyes looked older. The ride down felt endless, the city noise bleeding through the steel. Outside, the air was cold and colorless. I pulled my coat tighter and checked the message again, making sure it hadn't vanished. Leave. Now. For once, I listened. By dawn, I was home. Shoes still on, sitting on the floor as the dryers downstairs hummed through the walls. The sound used to mean safety. Now it sounded like surveillance. I opened my laptop to erase my notes, but the screen flickered before I touched it. Static, then a frozen image. The hotel suite, the same mirror, the same golden light. And me, standing in the corner, watching. The image blinked once, then disappeared, leaving only the cursor pulsing on a blank page, steady, rhythmic, like that red projector light. That's when I understood. I hadn't been documenting them. They'd been filming me all along. By dawn, I was already gone. I packed without thinking, cash, sidearm, burner phone, and left the city before the morning news cycle could restart. Manhattan shrank in the rear mirror, its skyline fading into gray. Every tower looked like an eye that refused to blink. The highway north was empty, slick with rain. The wipers beat a soldier's rhythm I couldn't turn off. I tossed the phone out the window somewhere past Yonkers, but the hum in my ears stayed. Silence should have meant safety. Instead, it felt like surveillance waiting for a signal. The call found me anyway. A different number, same voice. "You did good," 50 said, "but you shouldn't have stayed that long." I didn't answer. "You saw what you were meant to see. That's all we needed." My grip tightened on the wheel. "You used me." He paused. "Everyone gets used. The trick is living through it." Then the line died, leaving only static, a sound that now felt personal. I drove until the road signs blurred into fog. Somewhere outside Albany, I found a motel with half its bulbs burned out. Cash only, no questions. Inside, the air reeked of bleach and old smoke. I checked vents, taped the peephole, draped a towel over the mirror. Training never leaves, it just changes shape. When I opened my duffel, an envelope slid from the bottom, one I hadn't packed. Inside was a USB drive, blank silver. No note, no markings. I stared at it for an hour before giving in. The motel TV flickered when I plugged it in. At first just static, then a familiar glow. Candlelight, a suite, the same golden tone. But this time the camera faced me. There I was, standing in Diddy's penthouse. Watching the tape he'd shown. The angle was perfect. Over my shoulder, close enough to catch my breath fogging the lens. A voice bled through the speakers, distorted and calm. Everyone who sees it becomes part of it. My stomach dropped. I yanked the drive free, but the image stayed frozen on the screen. My own face turned toward the light, caught mid-realization. The room went still. Then, outside, an engine idled. I parted the curtain a few inches. A black SUV sat beneath the buzzing motel sign. Headlights off, windows tinted deep. The exhaust curled faintly in the rain. Someone was inside, phone screen glowing blue. I reached for the pistol on the nightstand and waited. The vehicle didn't move. Minutes dragged until the engine cut. For a heartbeat, I thought they'd come to the door, but instead the brake lights flared, 2 red eyes in the fog, then faded as the SUV rolled away into darkness. They didn't need to knock. They just needed me to know they could find me. I packed again before the adrenaline could cool. The sun was rising when I hit the highway, its light pale and unforgiving. On the windshield, 2 sets of fingerprints gleamed, mine and someone else's. I kept driving north, telling myself I was free. But freedom wasn't the point anymore. Silence was. And silence, I finally understood, wasn't peace. It was proof someone was still listening.
Don't compromise quality insurance for savings or your time for this ad. Hit that skip button. Or don't, and watch me skip.
My bad, brother. I'm doing an oil change on both of the cars. I keep running back to the auto parts store and I left my damn phone. Yeah, I always do. Feel like I hopefully got this job at the post office, maybe $24 an hour, so just wait on them. Mail sorter. Yeah, inside. I ain't driving no trucks. Yeah, just changing. I just changed the oil. Just started. I just finished the oil on my car. I've been doing a lot of driving, a lot of jobs and shit. Back and forth the river every fucking day. That's no bueno on the car road. But I didn't know that this car got some fucking weird oil. So I just came back. This car is zero. The oil for this car is 0W20. This one, my car. I never even heard of that shit. I don't be trusting niggas because they be using repurposed oil. I don't like no fucking repurposed oil. I like full synthetic. This car looks like a race car right now. I just drove that shit. Months ago.